Across the United States, there are houses that have become infamous not because of their beauty or architecture, but because of the terrifying events that happened inside them. Some of these homes were the scenes of brutal crimes. Others have stories so disturbing that people still refuse to live in them today. In today's documentary, we will explore 3 of the most dangerous houses in America, places where history, tragedy, and mystery collide. These are not just haunted stories. These are real locations with real events that changed lives forever. And by the end of this video, you might ask yourself one simple question. Would you dare spend a night inside one of these houses? Let's begin. The Villisca Axe Murder House. In a quiet town in Iowa stands a small white wooden house that looks completely ordinary. At first glance, nothing about it seems unusual, but inside this house, one of the most horrifying unsolved crimes in American history took place. The year was 1912. The small town of Villisca was peaceful and close-knit. Everyone knew each other, and violent crime was almost unheard of. On the night of June 9, 1912, the Moore family returned home after attending a church event. Inside the house lived Josiah Moore, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children. That night, 2 young sisters, friends of the Moore children, were also staying over. 8 people slept in the house. By morning, all 8 were dead. Someone had entered the house during the night carrying an axe. One by one, the victims were attacked while they slept. The killer moved quietly through the house, room by room, leaving behind one of the most disturbing crime scenes investigators had ever witnessed. What made the crime even more chilling was what the killer did afterward. Mirrors inside the house were covered with cloth, a plate of food was left on the table, and the murder weapon, the axe, was left inside the house. It was as if the killer had taken their time, calmly moving through the rooms after committing the murders. Despite a massive investigation, the case was never solved. Several suspects were questioned, including a traveling preacher and even a local politician, but no one was ever convicted. The mystery only deepened as years passed. Today, the Villisca Axe Murder House has become one of the most infamous locations in America. Visitors who stay overnight have reported strange experiences: footsteps in empty rooms, children's voices, and doors opening by themselves. Paranormal investigators have spent years studying the house. Some claim the spirits of the victims still remain there. Others believe the house simply holds the emotional energy of the terrible tragedy that occurred inside. Whether someone believes in ghosts or not, one thing is undeniable. The house represents one of the darkest nights in American history. A night where a quiet town woke up to a nightmare that has never been fully explained. And more than a century later, the mystery still remains. The Amityville House. Few houses in America are as famous, or as feared, as the house located on Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. At first glance, it looks like a beautiful suburban home. Large windows, a peaceful neighborhood, a perfect place to raise a family. But in 1974, something terrible happened inside this house that would make it one of the most talked about homes in the world. A 23-year-old man named Ronald DeFeo Jr. lived in the house with his family. One night in November, he walked into a local bar and made a shocking statement. He told people his entire family had been murdered. When police arrived at the house, they discovered a horrifying scene. 6 members of the DeFeo family had been shot to death in their beds. The victims included Ronald's parents and his 4 younger siblings. All of them had been killed with a rifle. What confused investigators was that none of the neighbors reported hearing gunshots during the night. Eventually, Ronald DeFeo Jr. confessed to committing the murders himself, but his explanation raised even more questions. He claimed that voices inside the house had told him to do it. He said he felt controlled by something he could not explain. DeFeo was later convicted and sentenced to prison, but the story of the house was far from over. Just over a year later, a new family moved in. The Lutz family bought the house, unaware of the terrifying experiences they were about to face. According to them, strange events began happening almost immediately. They claimed to hear unexplained noises at night. Doors would slam shut on their own. A strange smell would appear throughout the house. One of the family members even reported seeing glowing red eyes staring at them through the darkness. The family lasted only 28 days before abandoning the house completely. Their story later became the inspiration for books and movies, turning the Amityville House into one of the most famous haunted locations in the world. Skeptics believe the paranormal stories were exaggerated. Others believe the house truly holds something dark. But regardless of what people believe, the fact remains that a brutal crime happened inside that home. And because of that tragedy, the house has carried a reputation that still follows it today. Even decades later, the address has been changed to discourage curious visitors. But the legend of the Amityville House continues to fascinate and terrify people around the world. The Winchester Mystery House. Unlike the previous houses, this one was not known for a single violent crime. Instead, it became famous for something even stranger. Endless construction, bizarre architecture, and a belief that the house was being built to appease spirits. The story begins with Sarah Winchester, the widow of William Winchester. Her husband's family owned the company that created the famous Winchester rifle. After losing her husband and young daughter, Sarah became deeply depressed. According to legend, she visited a spiritual medium who told her something shocking. The medium claimed that the spirits of people killed by Winchester rifles were haunting her family, and the only way to escape their anger was to build a house that never stopped growing. Sarah reportedly followed this advice. In 1886, construction began on what would become one of the strangest houses ever built, and for nearly 38 years, the construction never stopped. Workers built rooms, staircases, and hallways day and night. But many parts of the house made absolutely no sense. Stairs led to ceilings, doors opened into walls. Windows were built inside the house facing other rooms. At one point, the mansion had over 160 rooms. Some historians believe Sarah Winchester was simply eccentric and enjoyed unusual architecture. Others believe she truly believed she was being guided by spirits. Today, the house is considered one of the most mysterious buildings in America. Visitors walking through the mansion often feel disoriented because of its confusing design. Some paranormal investigators claim to have captured unexplained sounds or shadows inside the building. But whether someone believes the supernatural stories or not, the Winchester house remains a symbol of grief, fear, and the strange ways people try to cope with loss. Sarah Winchester spent the rest of her life inside that ever-growing maze of rooms and hallways. And when she died in 1922, construction finally stopped. But the mystery surrounding the house never did. These three houses are very different from each other. One holds the memory of an unsolved massacre. Another became famous for a brutal family crime and terrifying paranormal claims. And the third stands as a strange architectural puzzle built from grief and fear. But all of them share one thing in common. They remind us that places can hold powerful stories. Sometimes those stories are tragic. Sometimes they remain unanswered forever. Across the United States, thousands of houses hold pieces of history within their walls. Most are peaceful homes where families build happy memories, but a few become something else entirely. Places where the past refuses to be forgotten and where visitors still wonder, what really happened inside?